time for another Wellness Wednesday, and after following Copa America and Euro Cup and also interviewing athletes that are all headed to the Olympics this month, we started to wonder if we could adopt some of the mental strategies of the world's top performers.
So joining us live now to give us a glimpse into performance coaching tips is CEO of Third Factor, Dane Jensen. Dane, so great of you to come in. I'm really fascinated by this whole area of, it's not just mental health, but it's like improving your performance, not just like, oh, I feel sad today, I want to feel better.
Yep.
So what is the key thing here to remember if you want to adopt something from what we see these athletes do? They seem so calm and collected, even though they're under immense pressure.
Yeah. And this is the thing with pressure. Pressure is really a double-edged sword, right? If you think about where world records get set in the world of elite sport, they get set at events like the Olympic Games. They get set at the Copa America, the Euro. Pressure is energizing. You know, it can lead to performance. And I think all of us know that, you know, there is a dark side to pressure, right? Yeah. Pressure can lead to anxiety. It can lead to overwhelm. And so I think that, you know, the number one thing that we work on with athletes is the idea that control is the big mediator for pressure. When I feel helpless in the face of pressure, that's when pressure gets corrosive. So all of our work with elite athletes is about how do I find little handholds of control? And I think that, you know, the number one thing that I guess regular folks may underappreciate is the role that imagination plays. We do so much work in sport on visualizing, on using imagination. And the reason this really matters is because our imagination can get away from us. You know, if I have a bad conversation at work and I imagine it 6 or 7 times on my way home in the car, or when I'm trying, to my body, it's like I've had that conversation 6 or 7 times. And so there, you know, there's this saying in sport, which is great athletes have short memories. You know, Ted Lasso talks about the goldfish, be the goldfish, you know, doesn't remember more than 10 seconds. You want to play the failure once, get the lesson, you know, don't deny reality, get the lesson, but then move on, right? Be really proactive in how you're using your imagination to model what you want, to look towards the future that's going to, you know, be better or different.
I love that point, and I love that mindset, but getting to that mindset where you can use your imagination to the positive rather than dwelling and sort of going through that toilet bowl cycle of emotions, how do you get athletes to there?
Well, you know, the first step is you have to notice it. I think a lot of us, we don't even realize that we are running movies constantly in our head. And we get into this tape loop. If I'm running, you know, the disaster movie of what life's going to be like a month from now, I am already paying a physical price for a future that hasn't even happened yet. And so often where we'll start with folks is just set a time. You know, if you're feeling anxiety or overwhelmed, just set a timer, you know, 2 or 3 times a day, and just take 30 seconds to just tune into, what am I imagining right now? Am I replaying that bad sales call? Am I pre-playing, you know, the event that I got to host 2 weeks from now? That's and what could I imagine that might be a little bit more energizing or a little bit less anxiety producing?
And that's a key word too, right? Because energy is something that can really influence and fit into your mindset. And you talk about not being like a thermometer, but more like a thermostat, which is where that control comes in.
100%. And so this idea of being a thermostat, not a thermometer. The problem is that we are hardwired like thermometers, right? So our body is equipped with, you know, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. They are built to react to the environment, right? One turns the temperature up, one turns the temperature down. And so with athletes, we are always working on how do you get out of that default where you're just reacting to the environment, and how do you become more proactive at setting the temperature?
Are there quick fixes, Dane? We only have about 30 seconds, so I need a kind of quick answer. But can you quickly do this, or does this take a lot of time? I mean, these athletes don't get there overnight.
I think people think it takes more time than it does. So energy, for example, you know, if you take a 10-minute break every 2 hours and either do a cognitive challenge, emotional connection, or physical challenge, you will have more energy through the week and you will get more done.
Right. You talk about the physical, take a walk in nature, stretch, mental, you know, a crossword puzzle, connections on New York Times. I love that, by the way. And, you know, emotional, just hugging your kids, changing up that feeling inside of you.
And that emotional piece is critical, right? Connection, hug your kids. And when I say emotional, I don't mean like go cry in the bathroom for 10 minutes, although that is an emotional way to take a break. This is about connecting with other people, right? Phone your parents, talk to somebody who brings you energy.
Dane, it's fascinating stuff. I'd love to work with the people you work with, but I'm glad you shared some of the information this morning here on Wellness Wednesday. Good to meet you.
Thank you so much, Dane.
Really appreciate
really cool stuff.
Thank you. You as well.
We're back with the rest of CP20 for breakfast coming up right after this.